Welcome back, everybody. We're going on to game number 2 here in this best of 3 series between DragOn and Andre. DragOn is leading 1-0 going into Neo Aztec.
Yep, he is indeed. And I can genuinely say these games today they're exciting stuff. So I'm seeing a lot of fun stuff coming out from these players. We're seeing loads of great hard-fought games, and these guys really seem like they're going at it tooth and nail, which you have to respect, and could not be the case in a qualifier, perhaps. So we're really seeing what this means to these guys, and they're really bringing out their best. We've seen some great underdog stories, and we're about to see more of Andre, so I couldn't be happier.
And not only that, Elegant, but we've had all different matchups basically up until this point.
I know.
So
really good. No Zog though.
Exactly. It's I don't know what's happening.
Living in a dream.
It really
literally.
Is.
That
hopefully, hopefully this racial diversity keeps up into the main tournament as well. That's the main thing, I think.
I have high hopes. We're seeing plenty of guys do well, plenty of different guys go through so far. So fingers crossed, and we've got plenty more interesting games to come tonight as well.
All right, so with that, let us go on to game number 2.
Let's do it.
And here we go. At the bottom right as the purple Terran, we have Andre, and at the 12 o'clock as the teal Protoss, we have DragOn.
Yes, we do. The map is Neo Aztec. Feel for this next great battle. The theatre, if you will, for their theatrics and dramatics. What will we see out of Andre this game? What will he do right? What will he do wrong? I'm just hanging on the edge of my seat. And of course we have DragOn, who was looking quite reliable last game. Played an interesting one. It was funny to see for so long, both guys working off as basically zero bank. You've got these big armies on the field, but nothing behind them. So, so just playing with the armies they've got, and I thought that made for a really fascinating kind of backwards and forwards kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And it'll be interesting to see what happens this game. I mean, I don't think, I was going to say, I don't think DragOn can go for the gas steal again, and he's not going to do that, although Toady did do that against Non on this map. Just by getting a lucky scout off. So already the opening is going to be a little bit different, but you know, as we said last game, the mid games tend to diverge, and we could very well see exactly the same thing as you said, this kind of back and forth low eco game.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, I mean, see, on Destination, I think doing that slightly more aggressive PvT style is probably better, because the late game on Destination is kind of tricky for PvT, whereas on Aztec, you know, it's a really nice big open center. You can keep going for the ground-based plus Arbiter Force, and you know, you're not too worried about it. You don't have to go carriers. In fact, I don't think this is a particularly good map for carriers, in fact.
I wouldn't imagine so. I mean, how they'd have trouble getting around, I think.
Yeah,
you do have kind of watery bits around the edge of the map, but I think they'd have some pretty significant trouble moving anywhere without being harassed to death by huge groups of Goliaths.
Yeah, but I think also, well, basically, you know, in addition to that, another complaint that Terran players will have is that it's harder to get a third gas base. So it's not like Fighting Spirit, where you can get a third gas really easy. You either take this inside one, which is very exposed, or you get the mineral only. It's kind of the similar problem that Protosses have against Zergs on this map. It's just not that easy to get another gas. So it's harder to play that kind of campy Terran style that you know, the current metagame seems to be going towards in this matchup.
Yeah.
I think Terrans have to be a little bit more active, perhaps do some big 2-base attacks or something.
But I like that. I do like that, and I think it makes for a kind of interesting power struggle in the mid game, which I think is pretty good. What are we seeing?
Oh wait, no, yes, my woe was valid. It's a 10-15 gate.
Yeah, it is a 10-15 gate. Not entirely surprising on a reverse ramp map, and I think it can actually be quite strong on this. Some maps is a little bit deceptive. You think, oh, 10-15 gate, but it can actually be pretty easily shut down on maps. For example, Heartbreak Ridge, things like that, where it looks like it'll be great and then it in fact isn't. But I think on Aztec it stands a very good fighting chance.
Yep, with this reverse ramp is really nice, and yeah, I think part of the reason, like Heartbreak Ridge, the travel distance is deceptively long, and then like as you say, it's actually a pretty weird map when you're doing these kinds of shenanigans. But It's gonna be interesting. So the SCV scouts it. Now he should realize by the fact that the second gateway is already finished by the time he gets in here that it is very likely to be a 10-15 or some kind of super aggressive Dragoon build. So he did actually pull some guys off gas. He's put them back now. So I'm not sure if he's going to try something, like, it looks like he was going to go for an FD at first, but now that he's mining gas again, I feel like he might try some kind of drop or a 2-fact or something, I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm feeling more kind of leaning towards 2-fact in more of a defensive kind of style, because drops might just be a little bit suspect when you've got so many Dragoons out on the map, because you'd imagine there's going to be a fairly easy...
He's actually just going siege expand. That's weird.
Seriously?
Right. Yeah, he went siege mode and tank before the command center.
He has a bunker. Okay.
Yeah, so he's basically just going for a super defensive fast expand, resuming that gas mining early so he can get siege as quickly as possible, and he's just going to rely on the siege tanks to hold off this 10-15. I don't think I've ever seen a response quite like this, to be honest.
Is that brave or stupid?
I'm not really sure. I mean, where the best... So you can get one good siege tank position a little bit far back from the bunker. He's got to be a little bit careful. He's going to block with the barracks so the goons can't run in and kill it. But, I mean, aside from that, I mean, is he going to siege on the low ground? You know, that's not the best position. But, I mean, I guess, you know, siege mode is now done, so, you know, this might actually not be a bad idea.
No, it really might not. There you go, siege mode kicks in. Of course, bunkers are not the strongest of items, and they can get taken down really fast if there's a sudden Dragoon dash, and it worries me that Dre won't be able to keep as many SCVs as he needs around the bunker at all times, because he'll just lose any economic advantage that he gained earlier on by doing so. So that could always work well for DragOn, just to dash in and go. Engineering Bay going to be... not quite taken down, cancelled by Andre right there, because of course he was just out of range with the siege tanks, but now he's got another siege tank out and he should be able to get an engineering bay up just as soon as he likes. A bit of bugging out going in his mineral line. But on the other side of things, we don't really see many Dragoons, and I think this was smart by Andre. You know? I think this was really smart, because we haven't got many Dragoons coming out from DragOn. He's switched to an expansion instead, and if Andre had just gone like super defensive, then he'd be in a terrible position now, whereas as it is, he's in a perfectly good position.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to think of, like, whether Andre is necessarily ahead, because his expansion is still slightly... Oh, actually, no, it's faster. Whoa, what am I talking about? Okay, so his expansion is slightly faster, and... Alright, what about the worker count here? Yeah, it's pretty good, so yeah. Andre, yeah, I guess you're right. He's in pretty good shape here. Because the thing is, by cutting out 4 goons when you're going the 10-15, you shouldn't get the Nexus that late, actually, but I guess it's still kind of a suboptimal build for going for the expand. You really want to be putting on a lot more pressure, doing more damage with the 10-15. So in that regard, I guess Andre's actually played this pretty smartly.
I'd have to say so. He took a bit of a risk, but he seemed confident in what he was doing, and it's worked. So you have to say the risk has paid off.
Yeah. Huh. I mean, yeah, this is the first time I've seen a reaction quite like this, and so it's confusing me a little bit, but I guess it's good. It is legit. Yeah.
But we have to ask the question then, was DragOn always intending it as an expansion, or was he put off by Andre's reaction?
If I was DragOn, I don't know if DragOn's seen this before, but if I was him, I'd be quite surprised by how fast that siege mode was, and usually when you see like the 10-15 gate immediate cut into Nexus, it's because they're like, oh wow, I guess I can't actually bust him, so I better try and expand. In fact, you usually see a double expand in that situation, where the 10-15 gator's like, well, you know, he's probably going to play defensive, I should be a little bit greedy to catch up, because 10-15 does cut your economy a little bit, so you very, very often see a double expand after you know, any kind of failed attack or just a deflected attack, as we saw here. So I'm a little bit surprised we didn't actually.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this works out, because as we saw, Andre's expansion timer was not bad at all. So DragOn needs to have a pretty sturdy plan for mid-game here in order to make this kind of level pegging pay off. It looks like he's going to make a third base now, but that's a bit questionable, and he has a push coming towards him from Andre, and how many tanks are in this push? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not so many. We have a decent number of Dragoons out on the map. Some of them have actually moved back into the main base, so they're going to be slightly out of position right now, moving forward and catching the first missile turret. There is an observer with the Terran army, so he's completely clued up what's happening, and I would strongly advise Andre not to dash up that ramp right now. That's a terrible idea. If so, no, he is going to pull back. You might lose one siege tank early on, though. Will DragOn be able to snipe that off? We need to get some more mines down right away, and he doesn't manage to snipe off one siege tank, but trades it for 2 Dragoons right at the end there. Not too bad of a trade for Andre, and DragOn's moving forward again. This is not a good idea at all. He's going to lose lots of Dragoons unless he's microing very, very carefully here. It looks like it is entirely deliberate. deliberate, but more siege tanks coming in from the back. This could be a really bad engagement for DragOn or for Andre. At this point, could we see a might go off from that Dragoon? Not quite, and the tanks are cleaned up. Confident play there from DragOn.
That is the best word I can think of, actually, Elegant. Confident, because I would have been way too scared to run down with just Dragoons into siege tanks. And DragOn knew exactly that he had a good enough position. He was running downhill, so he had some mischance helping out his Dragoons. He had enough goons. He did some nice moving forward of individual goons to tank shots and hopefully drag some mines as well, and really executed that fantastically. And had the balls to do it, because let me tell you, going headlong with pure Dragoon into sieged tanks is not something that you want to be doing often. It's very, very scary.
Yeah, that was yeah, wow. But he knew his limits, and that's often.
Oh, and we got arbiters.
Oh, so we do. A little bit delayed compared to what we might have expected, but I mean that's not too bad. He really managed to make this work out well for him, and he was able to hold off Andre's push without too much calamity. So arbiters a bit late, third base a bit late. Not too much of a big deal when you're decently ahead on supply and feeling fairly comfortable. But Andre's planning a third base of his own as well. He has a command center happening, so these guys are still going fairly level. Andre now decently behind, but not horribly behind. So it shouldn't be too hard for him to lever his way back into it if he's not too accident prone, which I hesitate to say.
Yeah, accident prone is a good way to put it, Elegant. That is definitely a danger with Andre, but I know he is playing fairly stably so far, as you said. The interesting thing to me actually is that this fast arbiter tech seems to be a pretty good choice, considering especially the spawning locations. I mean, the back of the main here for Andre is kind of pointing towards the Perdal, so it should be relatively easy for Arbiter to sneak its way down the right side of the map into the back of the main, and then it's going to be so annoying for the Terran army to come all the way back, come down this narrow ramp, which is actually already blocked by a supply depot, and then like run up here and defend the back of the main. I mean, you can just imagine all the traffic jams that are going to happen when he gets recalled.
That's going to be horrible. Why is that supply depot there again? Oh yeah, because of the...
He walled in at the beginning, yeah.
Wall in. Interesting, okay. A little bit of pressure coming in there from our good friend DragOn, but he's beaten back by a decent number of siege tanks from Andre. But DragOn, I feel like DragOn sensed a little bit of weakness, and I always feel a little bit of weakness when I see that base going up. I'm never instilled with confidence in his safety. Decent defense happening here from Andre, though. He has plenty of mines there. He has a decent number of siege tanks, so he should be alright for the time being, because DragOn doesn't have that much stuff. But we'll see how that pans out into the later stages.
And the first Arbiter is on the way, by the way, and he's getting stasis though before recall, so the recall won't be ready for quite some time. But that's not really an issue, because he can really recall at any time. And you can see what I'm talking about here. Most of the army is focused at the front defending this base, and for them to get back to the back of the main here, they have to go all the way through this big U-shape to come back through a bunch of narrow areas, which is going to be a real pain in the butt. But until that point, he should be okay. I mean, he could try and just stop that by building a lot of turrets. You can see he has the barracks here to spot. So if he just builds a lot of turrets here, lay some mines, he could try and avoid that situation entirely just with good anti-recall measures. But it'll still be quite annoying to deal with later on, I imagine.
The spotting barracks is kind of funny, isn't it? Because the barracks is going to see the Arbiter as it comes into the base. So good. But what's he going to do about it at that late stage?
Well,
it's
I mean,
a bit of a
it gives turrets vision onto the high ground, which I think is the important thing. So they get a few extra volleys.
Now he's no, he's not building turrets. Yeah, that would be good if there were turrets.
If there were turrets, that would be good, right?
A few vultures going over to the top right corner base and hiding out behind a tree, but even a tree is not enough to save them from that kind of Dragoon and cannon fire. And DragOn now preparing another base up in the top left corner as well he might, because he has pretty decent map control at this point. Andre pretty firmly confined to his three bases.
Meanwhile, more gateways going up. I mean, both players now just kind of in passive macro mode. It's kind of what you would expect. You know, DragOn, despite there being a bit of an open place to engage here, doesn't really want to commit his army before Arbiters are ready. And Andre obviously is still just adding on his infrastructure, just really milking those three bases. So gonna expect a little while here. Oh, it looks like one tank is actually stuck in his base. It's just gonna siege up there. That's kind of interesting. But I mean, I guess that'll help against recalls. So you know, it's not
that's the line.
Useless. Yeah,
that's the official line. This is an anti-recall tank. We are not incompetent. This tank is a good tank.
Oh, he's got a second one. He's got a second one there. Can that get out? Oh no!
Yeah.
He's gonna kill the depot.
Andre is the crazy emperor. It is confirmed. bashing through his own infrastructure for military purposes. This is terrible. He's a tyrant.
Oh no.
He's thrown him
Andre the Tyrant.
in the worst way possible, destroying his
I
own.
mean, this supply depot could feed so many families.
Imagine,
Think of the
I know.
children. Oh man, the starving children are now actually going to starve to death because of this tank.
And there's a little queue of tanks there. You've got to love that enterprising nature of Andre. He is SimCitying the back of his base fairly well though, and he should be pretty well defended against recalls. But it looks like DragOn is reconvening in the middle of the map, possibly for some kind of attack, but I still don't think he really has the unit count to do that. He does have a fair number of speeds outs waiting in his natural. But his army movement's been quite good so far and he's managed to keep the map fairly well locked down. Andre just has no map vision whatsoever. Now he's pushing forward, thinking out any excess spider mines that he's not really in the mood to deal with later. And a very sensible move it is too, checking over the left-hand side as well, making sure there's no base happening there, but he's getting ready to push up towards the mineral only, and he should be able to snipe that off if he really wants to.
Yeah, weirdly, there's actually no tanks here. All of the army is positioned in the middle, but there's actually nothing covering this back entrance, so I don't know if Andre's just not completely familiar with the map or something. That seems like a pretty obvious oversight. So he's gonna just lose his command center. There's not really much he can do about it. He's gonna send some reinforcements over now. He's actually sent the SCV train over.
Interesting.
He should just pull that back.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Dude, no. Oh, he could trap the army though. He could trap his force. He's going to lose the command center a good number of SCVs for no reason, though, which is a bit silly. And he's still not sending in a lot of units here. I don't think he really understands how big this force is. He's got like one tank and a couple of vultures, and that's it.
Yeah, he hangs all the SCVs out to dry, reconfirming his crazy Emperor status, who has no concern for the plight of the common man. All his SCVs going down there in a horrible train. He does have plenty, well, I'm going to say plenty, he doesn't have that many left, so he probably would have done well to hang on to those. There's one DT still having a bit of a crack at these siege tanks, which are waiting around, and Andre needs to get back into cover a missile turret. He almost manages to turn away at the crucial moment, but he's not quite that disaster struck at this particular moment in time, and he's able to regain his mineral-only position, but quite a few siege tank lighter.
Now, I'm a little bit surprised that DragOn isn't expanding again.
Supply.
Perhaps to another main, sorry? Yeah. Big supply difference, isn't there? But you see, the thing is, like... Oh, okay, no, sorry, he is expanding to the inside. Oh, I completely missed that. But yeah, I was going to say, he's maxed, so now's the time to start adding on a lot of bases and gateways, since obviously you can't really add on any more units. So, you know, add on a couple more stargates, more gateways, get maybe the bottom left main and start adding gateways there. You really can't just sit around as on max in PvT. I guess the other option, if you want to be aggressive, is this. It's a recall in the main, and whoa, crazy lag there.
So we have disaster there, but the siege tank is about to come in useful. Thank God for that trapped siege tank, but unfortunately Zealots can't get through, and the siege tank dies immediately. We could see mines go off on the SCV train, but not quite going to happen. The recall is quite well cleaned up, but it needs a little bit of extra help. Bring some vultures to finish it off. Not too bad there for Andre, and he managed to keep himself fairly well defended his third base as well.
Oh, a double recall though! Oh, but it's on a mine. The goons get pulverized. There's a lot of Zealots though, and a lot of siege tanks in the back, but the Zealots will do fairly well against them, although, oh, we could get a mine drag. No, not quite. But the rest of the Zealots are just tearing apart the main base. This is going to be a much more effective recall, and Andre needs to get some units back. The tanks are actually blocking him off from getting back down there, but even if he gets back down there, the tanks don't really want to be facing these Zealots. Looks like, oh, the one Zealot though behind, look at the one Zealot, or sorry, the one tank stuck in behind the depot is killing the Zealots. Look, he's bugging out the Zealots. He's bugging it out.
What a boss. Andre's craziness paying off again, and a bunch more siege tanks pop out, and that will help him speed up his recalls. Those recalls didn't look wildly effective to me, and that has proven to be a big supply change in Andre's favor. It is now 173 to DragOn, 131 to Andre. So DragOn loses about 30 supply in that enterprise and doesn't gain too much. He managed to do some decent damage to the back of Andre's base, but nothing too serious. Didn't take out that many units. So I think that was a little bit of a swing in Andre's favor. But DragOn is recollecting. He's almost maxed again. So it'll be a while before that kind of thing really poses too much of a threat to his overall game.
Yeah, and he's double expanding to the left side as well, while Andre is just expanding to the bottom left. Trying to move out and take this. Andre's really just kind of slow pushing the middle. He's got to be really careful. Not all of this is buildable ground, and it is, even if it is, it's still very, very open. So, you know, really got to be aware of that. And of course, if he focuses too much on the front, he'll just get recalled in the back, and he hasn't had time to set up his anti-recall defense again. Yeah. By the way, hopefully we don't get another one of those big freezes. That was really freaky. But
Yeah,
it was like
scary.
bullet time for the Arbiter, though. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
He just suddenly slows down, like right before the recall. It was pretty sick timing.
Pretty dramatic. Oh, but here we go. Dragon decides it is his time, and may in fact be right. There are not many bolts coming there to defend the army of Andre, and there are many, many zealots coming in here surrounding the tank. The siege tanks are going to be completely toasted right now. Andre's army is done, and I think Andre is going to have trouble bouncing back from that. He has a handful of siege tanks still remaining over at his third, but the army is just cleaned up decisively, and Dragon is already nearly maxed again. Andre down to 114 supply, and you have to say he's going to have a hard time getting back into this one.
Yeah, he's done a little, one tank kind of harassing the bottom left. That's going to get taken down. And I don't know why, though, he moved out with what wasn't his entire force. You can see he's got still a few siege tanks in the back there. He was quite spread out there. He wasn't really in a great position there. I mean, he could have like tried to hug the left side a little bit more and lay some more mines. His large army control seemed a little bit lackluster. And see, again, he's got like this group of units that's unsieged on the left side. Like, what is this army actually doing? Like, why is he moving out with this small force when it's just going to get crushed? And he should be waiting and playing defensively and just, adding the upgrades. He's going to intercept some probes just by luck. It's actually, not completely wasted, but there's a recall in the back.
I don't think he's going to be able to really clean that one up. He's got no units. He's got 2 siege tanks hanging around spare, but that is it. He just doesn't have enough. His main base is just going to get completely squashed this time. Dragon is all over the map. Andre's managed to expand fairly well, but his big army control, like you say, has just been a bit lacking. GG! Come on, Andre.
Dragon takes it down 2-0 and will go on to the finals of this qualifier. Andre out in the semifinals, which still gives him a good amount of points, though, towards his qualification. I don't know how many he has now, but it might even be enough to guarantee him a spot. I'm not really sure. I think if you get like 100 and something points, you're pretty much have a almost guaranteed spot. I don't know.
I can't think of anyone else who's got that many points.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of last weekend, I think there was 1 or 2 players, I think. Yeah, 1 or 2 players had just over 100 points.
Well,
yeah, anyway.
You know, check that out. But anyway, yeah, Andre crashing out in this particular qualifier in the semi-finals. Again, a respectable performance, but doesn't have quite that essential quality to tip him over the edge into a final and into a winning position. And congratulations to Dragon going 2-0 through to the final. So we're going to see more of him later.
Indeed, but first we must go on to the second semi-final match, which will be coming up right after the break.